episode was brought to you by New Black. They are redefining retail with Eva, a contextual commerce platform that unifies inventory and order management, POS, ESR apps, promotions, loyalty, and clienteling into one seamless system. This is Eva, this is New Black.
And we are back with another episode of our Europe's Retail Evolution series in partnership with Shoptalk Europe. I am actually recording this episode in their wonderful office here in London with a very special guest. If you live in the UK, chances are you've walked past a Holland Barrett store, or maybe even picked up some vitamins, supplements, or health foods there. With over 1,300 stores across 16 countries, Holland Barrett is one of the largest health and wellness retailers in Europe, offering everything from organic skincare to plant-based nutrition. But despite its long history dating back to 1870, the company is undergoing one of the biggest transformations in existence. Today, I have Katya Denike, Holland Barrett's Chief Product Officer, and we'll talk about how they are breaking silos, shifting mindsets, and leading a product-driven culture inside one of the world's most recognized health brands. We talk about aligning teams for change and building trust in transformation. Here's Paula Macaggi, and this is episode 59 of my show. Welcome to OFFBounds. Katya, it's such a pleasure to have you here on OFFBounds. Welcome to the show.
Happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So we have an interesting topic to talk about today. I know you joined Holland Barrett, from different types of industries that you worked before. So you had big tech, you had startups in your resume. How these experiences have helped you to be leading product at Holland Barrett today?
Yeah, I think one main benefit of coming from this, experiencing variety of experiences is that you get humble in the approach, and you kind of get it very well that there is no one size fits all. You abandon puristic methodologies, and you try to combine the best of all worlds and think about the big why and goals and what will really work here. Like, what will you get from a small startup? Where is the best place to cut corners and move fast? Or what parts will you get from big tech, where you gotta just invest in foundations and build the things right? Or that parts you'll get actually from neither, and that is a unique part of the digital transformation and the company and the journey. So that is one bit. But also another thing to mention straight away, it's, I think, the fact that I've experienced so many different backgrounds, cultures, and companies, and various ways to do things. It gives you the opportunity to do things that are considered a little bit crazy for the current culture or old boundaries, and that is
on this startup way. Let's try it.
Yeah, let's just trial that, or let's do this meeting in a way which has never done before, right? And it kind of, you almost introduce this freedom of thinking. Because normally in the company at the beginning of transformation, things been, which Holland Barrett's been at this point when I joined, things been quite settled for quite a while. So when you bring this, guys, we don't have to do these things this way, but it's A, B, C, all the various ways, and you purely just expand mindset, it becomes a useful thing within its own.
So it's kind of like you learn and unlearn certain ways to work on a transformation, right?
I think you got it right. I think unlearning certain ways, it's equally big part of the transformation, such as learning. I would probably rate them something like 50-50.
Yeah, and Holland Barrett is a company that is 150 years old, which is a legacy UK company. And you got into the role of Chief Product Officer to run the transformation. This is so challenging. What was the reason? Why did you join? What was the drive?
Yeah, and it's such an interesting challenge, I guess. So a few things on this. One, I've always been driven by the biggest challenge I can get my hands on, so the biggest thing I can resolve. And in this sense, like having this opportunity to bring the change on scale, for me, it's been a big advantage. And it's general advantage for the transformation. That's an advice I always give people. If you are to join the transformation, those are the hard things and those are the perks. For me personally, I joined from a health tech startup, and the mission of the startup was to effectively extend the quality years of life, help people to live longer. And when we were talking about, when there was a conversation of joining Holland Barrett, I realized that the mission and long-term vision of the company, it's actually very, very aligned with what I wanted to do. And it's literally like adding quality years of life to 100 million people. And that by joining this journey, I will have an opportunity to do it on scale. Also, with startups, as you know, and purely from statistics perspective, a big part of it is luck. So there is lots and lots of factors involved, and the failure rate is a fairly big one. While in the transformation journey, I kind of had a grasp of the challenges. I've been through a successful transformation before, and I was confident that I know how my skills and knowledge would help it to become a success. So effectively, it helped me to deliver like my vision and something I was passionate about, having less luck and more skill involved.
Yeah, and a lot of skills in team alignment, right? Like, because for an 150-year-old brand, I guess, a lot of people need to be aligned and know exactly what the transformation is going to be. One thing is knowing that you're going to get into the company and you're going to be doing a transformation. I think the other thing is getting on the first day. Did you have an initial shock that you didn't know it was going to be, I had no idea it would be that way?
Yeah, I think there were a few things. Let's say one is I didn't really get fully what it means to work for 150-year-old brand, right? I'm coming from Eastern European background where I was like revolutions, 90s. So the oldest businesses are 20 years old, and having something there, having the company which has like such a heritage where you interviewing your customers and they have memories of their grandma taking them to the store, it was something really important and tough for me to grasp. And I guess the challenge was how to maintain, do not throw the baby with the bathwater, right? To maintain the best parts of the heritage, not wipe the identity and stuff. The other part of the challenge is, of course, it all becomes more set in the ways, right? So there are some processes, which is probably 150 years old, or it used to be.
Yeah.
And of course, it creates an additional challenge to the scale of transformation you have to deliver. So I definitely had a few shocks.
Was there something done on paper that you were like, wait, what?
Oh, lots of paper. Currently we're almost paperless. I'm very, very proud to say, almost each and every of our processes has been done on paper. There has been string actually, paper and a string in one place. We used it in our warehouse, as in from one floor to another. You write something you need on the string, you just pull it down there. Our person gets it, they pick it up. So that's the system that worked. Yeah, that was a little bit of a shock. But yeah, it's all.
Yeah, it was probably that way for 100 years already.
Yeah, I know, sounds like that's definitely technology we had 100 years ago, right? But that's what made it also more exciting, because there are so many nice, impactful challenges you can get your hands on and kind of just got in.
Yeah, I think you get in, you're like, oh, wow, yeah, I'll have a lot of work here, but I think these are the smaller pieces that you can see huge impact right away, right?
Yes, yep, absolutely. And by the way, in the first half of your question, you picked up on a really, really important part, which is about aligning the organization. I really like the terminology of problem A and problem B. So problem A, it's the actual problem you need to solve, as a system you need to build, right? Or product you need to deliver for the customers to solve the customer problem, yada, yada. And then problem B, it's how you align the organization around it to persuade them that that's the right thing to do. And I think for my job, that's definitely been the biggest part of the challenge, kind of to make sure that organization accepts that it becomes natural for us, and that we all are aligned on one direction and happy with this direction.
So that's a very interesting part that you just mentioned, because we tend to say that transformations are about going digital and deploying technologies. But I think the real transformation is actually happening within the organization and in the culture, right? In shifting mindsets on thinking of different ways and etc.
Absolutely.
And the cool part is that you're going to be on stage at Shoptalk Europe in Barcelona. A wonderful city. Yeah, I'm very excited that we are already in this studio to have a little bit of what's going to happen. You're going to be speaking at the track of teams. They were very selective with the tracks they're going to cover this year. Why do you think it's important to have this organization alignment and teams conversations in events like Shoptalk?
Yes, I think so. I'm very excited about that. Shoptalk is one of my favorite events ever. I think it's one of the best retail shows, and it really brings like fresh thinking and best people into the group. In terms of particular topic, I think that's one of the key things in the digital transformation. And I think you're right. We keep talking about building the best technology and delivering, digitizing everything, which is of course a big part of it. But your growth is really, really limited if you don't win your heart and minds of the teams. In kind of exaggerated scenario, which I saw in the real life before, you'll get a tech function, which is really, really competent, which knows all the right things, not like knows how to deliver them, but it's just a function sitting in the white tower, not talking to the rest of the business, and business is not yielding the value from them. They scared and kind of there is like this unhealthy tension, which I think doesn't help the transformation in general and doesn't help the business because there is no return of investment from technology in this case, even though you might have like the best heuristic tech. And I think the alignment of the teams is so important because if you do that part right, you then ensure that you're solving the right business problems. You can ensure that you're winning the hearts and minds of your business partners, stakeholders, people who might have been in this business for 40 years. I think it's such a big and important part of company becoming truly digitally enabled one. When I worked for a large tech, there is something in the air where you feel that tech, being techy, in heart and mind of everyone in this company. They don't have to be an engineer, they don't have to be a product manager, they might work for the business department.
Yeah.
But that's something like that becomes a part of their identity. They're really proud about that. They identify them. It's a part of the DNA. And I think done right and aligning the teams right, the best successful transformation is for transformed company to embed technology and digital mindset as a part of the DNA, because then collaboration with technology, adoption of technology, and even using these new technologies like GPT or anything from the market becomes easier and gives the best results to the business.
Yeah, and I think once the business understands that the technology is there to enable their ideas to come true, then it makes it a lot of it. Like you start having more ideas and ways to think. Yeah,
because that's a big challenge, right? Like I empathize with that. It's intimidating. When you start a transformation, some new folks came, product folks came. So that was an experience of my functions, let's say, effectively what I was doing for first a year, probably at Holland Barrett, and especially because I joined as a director of product and engineering, when I got promoted to the chief product officer. So part of the role was to go across departments and to say, hello, this is what we do, this is what product does. And by the way, guys, I'm very sorry, but you don't get to tell us anymore what to do exactly. You just have to tell us problems. We will solve the problems for you. And thankfully, I had enough brilliant business stakeholders on board who kind of walked the journey with me. But imagine that's truly scary. If you're a business leader, you got used, in the last 20 years, you just told people what to do directly, and they went ahead with it, and suddenly someone new is coming and they say, no, I'm not doing anymore what you're saying to me directly. We're going to do things differently.
Yeah, but you're also saying, hey, I'm here to help you with the problems you have.
Exactly, just in a different way. So you got to trust me. Please trust me because I know better how to find the solution to your problems. But that's definitely a leap of faith, right, to do. And I think that's a crux of it.
And you introduced the product operating model.
Yes.
And how was this transition of mindset from traditional retail mindset to more agile?
Yeah, surprisingly easier than I thought it would be.
Okay.
So when I just got to Holland Barrett, and I assessed the situation, and we've been very, very far from the product operating model in terms of how our mindset worked, but also in terms of how product team mindset was operating. So internally and externally, we weren't internally as a product team and externally as a business, that wasn't the thing at all. So I've expected that it will take us, I don't know how long, 5-10 years of resistance to get to the point of it. In reality, in a couple of years, we already yielded lots of benefits of the model. We are not like 100% puristic on that. Coming back to my initial point, what you kind of got to tailor methodologies, but we are fully agile, right? We have those squads with OKRs, so we track them on either they deliver the goals or not the goals, rather than tracking them on the specific features. We're empowering the teams and working on what we call earned empowerments, that teams deciding on what is the specific way to solve the problem. And we're seeing the benefits of it just about everywhere in the business.
But like you had to deal with some resistance in changing mindsets. You just told us a few stories that, well, happy was easier than you thought. But I imagine like then you have another challenge, which is setting the deadlines for the project, right? You came to do this huge transformation. How was it? Like, we have 2 years to do it. Let's go, guys. How was setting deadlines?
It's been a little bit of a tough one, to be honest. And that was one of my surprises. Then when I arrived, we had kind of a 12-month roadmap, but we were far diverged from this roadmap, and still we kept tracking it without changing the plan. So one of the first things I've introduced to the org, and I've asked our stakeholders to support, is we are going to radically decrease our planning power. We are going to plan for like quarterly roadmaps and 12 months high-level plans, but we are going to give you a high-quality 3 months roadmaps. Then there was a little bit of resistance with deadlines in general, as developers felt that they will get punished if they put a deadline on paper and all this usual cultural stuff. So we had to work a little bit on the concept of hard commitments versus soft commitments, right? And on what is the right level of agility. Effectively, I feel there is only 20% of your commitments should really be, this is like the specific date, 21st of March, because it's connected with the marketing launch or it's connected with something else.
Because it's going to unlock for other
the rest
other
of it, like
too.
I've worked with the tech team my entire life, right? And a couple of weeks here and there should be applicable. So there is a right margin error, which we need to discuss up front. So that was the first iteration to improve situation with deadlines, and that increased transparency.
It's making, instead of a huge plan, just like do small tasks until to get the goal.
Yes, exactly. Small iterations, like doing quarterly, and then every quarter you become, you're smarter, and then you kind of know what you want to do exactly. And the next quarter, where you still have a high-level goal. And that was an interim measure, just till we get to the maturity point. And now we moved a while ago this year to the 6 months planning. So we expanded our planning capacity because now it's the right time for it. We have like right elements as an organization to do so.
For this series, we have something new, which is our sponsor, the guys from this amazing jacket that everybody's talking about. I have a video. It is a cool, right?
Yeah.
Our friends from New Black have a question for you.
Hi, Paula. Hi, Katya. Nice to meet you. I'm Pim Vijfterschut. I'm the Chief Commercial Partner Officer of New Black. And I'm glad that I could join you today and ask some questions. So I'm curious to understand how Holland Barrett is integrating their online and offline journeys into one seamless customer journey.
That's a brilliant question.
It is a brilliant question.
Yes, and I think it's the big one to, there is an even term for this, which I think called phygital. At least that's what we've been discussing starting last year on lots of conferences and stuff. But I think it's a key thing to figure out now for any successful retailer as a part of the transformation, how you connect those two journeys. And there are a few iterations to that. First iteration, and this is something we already done at Holland Barrett, it's building this ecosystem of products that can be connected. Because if you work from if you're standing on sand, right, like you can have all the brilliant ideas, but your systems just don't talk to each other. You don't have a single customer base, right? You cannot connect your deals with your website, with your app, or it will cost you like millions to do experimentation. So I would say the first checkbox hit is to make sure that those systems customizable, we own them, which gives us a big advantage, right? We rebuilt many things from scratch, and now we're owning the whole estate. So the second bit is, once figured out the foundation, it all comes from the customer scenarios and customer points. And this is where I think the most exciting things are still ahead of us. We tackled basic scenarios, but I would call
like
it basic.
The foundation.
Yes, yeah. Like, when you, for example, now at Seal, sometimes you can see the app screen. Say like, hey, this is our app. You can see more products there, or when you're printing the receipt, or sometimes like an app QR code, things like this. So like connecting and making people aware of the existence of like a system, that they can do things here and things there. But I think so the way we're splitting it, there are some like easy fix and connections we've done already. Then the next one is, what are the existing customer scenarios, which we know about, but we are not serving yet too well, and that might be someone who is already a very, very loyal app user coming to the store and us giving them like a proper tailored advice rather than giving them a generic advice. Or that might be things like doing split orders, right? More of the basic customer functionality, like you can have part of the order in store and part of the order delivered to your home because you don't want to carry protein, which is really heavy. So that's the second part, where we are kind of rating the existing customer needs. And then the third part, which is I'm most excited about, to be honest with you, it's about finding those new ways to connect a system in a way that is beneficial to our customer, and in a way that uses our assets as a business. And for example, we have in stores, our colleagues they receive a super serious training on like health and wellness conditions, right? So we are very, very focused on that.
Yeah, if I go there and I have questions, they should know.
Yes, they are very, very knowledgeable, and that's not that's not the surface knowledge. They get in weeks of training. There's like different levels of proficiency they can receive, but currently it's not very well skilled capability, right? So what we're thinking about, like, hey, and what we started to do in some areas is there a way to have a call with the colleague when they're free in the hours? Maybe you can book a call with them on the website to just ask your health questions. So there are connections like this. Or can you get into the store, talk to the colleague, and they will recommend you not only products, but some of the articles on our platform or our podcast or something else, and then they'll get it from you. They get it for you in the nice report, and they will send this report, like let's say, to your app platform. So you start benefiting from all those scenarios. I'm very, very excited.
That sounds like a very good use case for AI and personalization, right?
Yeah. I think AI will definitely help. It's how do we combine artificial intelligence and our colleagues and like this human factor, so we can get to human verified advice, but we can get there fast with aid and help of the AI.
Absolutely. And there's one thing that is super interesting about you is that you talk a lot about authenticity and informality in leadership. It makes more interesting because I think of Holland Barrett as a legacy corporate brand that probably had mindsets from corporate 50 years ago, right? Like, why do you think this is important to have this informality and authenticity?
Well, I think there is a few things to
And and give an example too. What is an informal thing that you do?
Well, I think it's not the one thing I do. It's more something I'm trying to practice day in and day out, right? It's in the way I communicate. It's a little bit in the way I dress. It's about making the jokes, forming up the atmosphere, not being overly serious. When I'm writing an emails, I specifically trying to get to the simplistic language possible. So not using corporate lines and lines where you kind of resonate and you cannot get to the point. I think very few things to that. It is important for a number of reasons. One, it's just pure diversity factor. if you have a culture that is on the corporate side, it's important to introduce like variety of mindsets, variety of behaviors. Even I think that people feel more at ease, and then they can share the ideas because you want the ideas, right? Like you not always gonna be the smartest.
They feel
person
it's
in the
open
room.
for them to say what they think.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. You want people's ideas, right? You're not always going to be the smartest person in the room. So you want people being sufficiently at ease, not being worried about sharing things and suggesting things. And that's for me the big part of authenticity. Other thing is we spend lots of time at work, right? It's the biggest thing we do in life. And I think it should be enjoyable as much as possible. I ultimately disagree that how serious you are relates with results in the delivery. I think there is sometimes like anti-correlation on that, if anything. And that's just about like this satisfaction.
And so many of our listeners they're probably going through a transformation. I think every brand is going because it's a constant thing, right? What is the thing that you've learned that you didn't know before and you've learned in your path that you could share with them?
Yeah, sure. So first, let me share a little bit of the phases and transformational journeys we went through, and some of the learnings will come up as a part of that. As I said already, like the first part was really getting the education in. And in my case, I had to start from realigning the mindset of the product team, because product team, it was a smaller team, so I had to hire a lot of people. But with the existing talent, because we did have some great talent in the org, but I just needed to kind of realign the values to say, hey, there are new rules of the game. How about we play by these rules? Would you like to do like a proper product management to effectively step out of the box and deliver more value? And most of the team has been up to the challenge. One thing I was a little bit surprised by is the fact how humble they've been, and a little bit of fear. I think like first time I said we are going to run show and tells, so that's a meeting which is going to be there every 2 weeks, and you come to this and present your achievements, what you've done as a team, what you learned. And the pushback from the team was, oh, but no one is going to come, and if they will just be there to criticize us. And I was like, no, I'm going to be there. I'm going to cheer for you. I'm going to applaud. Even if it's going to be one-person show, it's going to be all right. And of course, it turned out to be like...
So that was a way to empower them.
Yes. Currently, it's still
to
like...
take the risks and try.
Yeah. And just to give a bit of a perception on like their work being valued, it's still one of the most attended meetings in our work was show and tell, and people come and they cheer. So I'm not the only, I'm not the only audience there. So of course it's been a false perception. There has been a thing with also addressing fear of the team when at the big product event, one of our very, very talented designers came to me and said, oh, you're wearing different earrings. I'm not afraid of you anymore. And I was like, when have you ever perceived me as a scary person? But that's like a little bit of hierarchical culture, like back to authenticity. So I would start with checking with team capabilities, like what you have to have, what can you get internally and externally? Because when you get out to the business and drive the transformation, you kind of have to check those boxes and have at least a good share of those in place. And then the big part was to do the road shows. And this is where engagement with the business partners, it's a very critical part, right? So what we did is the full days with all of our key functions, like with the digital business function, with our supply chain, with our commercial, with retail, and where we will combine talking a little bit about, hey, this is what our operating model is, this is what we do together, this is how we solve our problems, and this is, by the way, all the good things that we will deliver for you in the next 3 months.
This is a good way to break silos, right? To see that we are all on the same goal, we are all working together. Very good.
100%, right? Back to organization alignment. And here, I think one of the advices I will give and one of the things to learn is really, really listening to your business partners, taking a real business challenge from them and solving this challenge. That's the best way to get the allies, right? Because one of the things I have seen being done effectively in the transformation journey is that someone comes and says, oh, we're going to deliver all this exciting tech. You guys don't understand anything, like it's going to, and they just go on this journey in the little box of building the excellence, but that doesn't get people anywhere, because in best case scenario there is like an open disagreement and then we clash and resolve. In worst case scenario there's a silent disagreement, then people just go in a box and they kind of quietly sabotage what this loud person trying to do. So I think like the key is to be ready to compromise and to listen to the real business problems, resolving them first, at the same time keeping little bit of the firm boundary to say, here's the favors or like asks I need from you, here's the problems I will solve for you, and please hold me accountable. And then the next stage, I think, as a learning, and very important, like my advice to anyone who wants to handle successful transformation, it's find those early pioneering cases, places where you've got it, because the whole transformation is not going to be delivered at the same time in one go. So you probably have like 2-3 superstars, squads and projects. In our case, it was app and retail, right? We re-platformed app. We went from the third party to our own solution, and effectively our rating went through the roof. It was 3 point something, and it became like one of the top rated apps in health and wellness category. And our customer reviews, every single metric like just doubled, and it all looked really, really good. So then the idea was to showcase that to everyone and to shout from the roofs. And in retail, we had a similar success where we had a little bit of time really working together with our business partners and making sure that we are basically hand to hand, like with the best amigas ever, and that we're delivering best retail solutions fast. So you kind of then can ride on the back of those successes and really, really lead everyone behind those. And this is a hard learning for me, because that one, I haven't actually nailed in this transformation. So we're now recovering, we're now basically learning from the mistakes. But it is the fact that you have to consistently beat the drum of the transformation. Never, ever stop. So like even if you've done all the road shows, like all those things, the probability is if you don't do like small bits of consistent comms, just as a reminder, this is how we do things, this is what the operating model is, yada, yada, yada.
The culture moves back to...
Yes. The inertia moves the ship back, and it's even like, it's in the ways you wouldn't even notice first. Like then you discover, there is this random meeting going on. What is happening on this meeting? People just giving JFDIs to designers, and designers just do that. Wait a second, that's not a product operating model, right? So, and it's reminding to everyone and to the teams, product org, but also wider org. This is what we are doing. This is why partnering with everyone you can, right? Onboarding team, comms team. So we consistently work on embedding this in our org. And then last thing I would say, on the authenticity side, I found that I always would go for simplification, a bit of humor, and a bit of tailoring rather than for a heuristic methodology. For example, one thing that worked really, really well for Holland Barrett when we introduced the product operating model is what we called, and it's our own name, we just came out in this some meeting room, it's Free Amigas concept. And effectively, when we were introducing the model, I thought telling our business partners like, hey, product managers now will do this, that, and that, and you guys don't get to do that. It is not nice and it did not outline the partnership. So we came up with, hey, we will have 3 amigas on each problem we're solving. Business amiga, responsible for this, and this, race-wise. Product amiga, responsible for this, and this, and engineering amiga. So we kind of have this triumvirate.
Yeah.
And the terminology stuck. And because it was like, a catchy one, everyone was like, so who is the 3 amigas for that one? So where is your 3 amigas? And that that's such a simple thing. But I think it works rather well, and it outlined the partnership for a long time, because someone will see, there is only 2 amigas on this meeting.
So it's kind of like everybody checking who are the 3 people.
Yeah, and purely because of the catchy phrase. So that's the way it happens.
That's very good. It just gave us a masterclass on transformation. I'm sure our audience would be very pleased. But besides being the CPO of Holland Barrett, you're also a podcaster.
A little bit.
Which is very exciting. So you have Rocking Creeps and Career. Yes. That's the name of your podcast. I imagine it's about motherhood and business.
Yes.
Why do you have this podcast?
Great question. So the whole idea of Rocking Trips and Careers, it's a podcast about highly accomplished working moms. It is where I meet with such moms and I discuss their life story, how they do things, all the questions I probably really wanted to ask them, just having a cup of coffee with them. And I'm trying to understand how they became this notable exception of the rule, because if you see the statistics on the topic, I think there was a really, really good one coming from The Economist a couple of years back. There is female and male income, and two lines go hand in hand together. And then you have the birth of the first baby, and two lines just jumping apart, and they never ever meet again.
Yeah.
So that's the station, the statistics we are in, right? And it was really, really interesting for me to get what it takes to be this notable exception. I also had a personal reason to start, because when the whole Holland Barrett journey started and I felt oh wow, my career on this really, really exciting trajectory, and I'm doing lots of things, and I feel like I've been doing lots of things. Maybe it's not the start for me to start. No, maybe it's not the time for me to start a family. So I've been in this a little bit of conflicting.
But I
cycle.
feel like it's never a good time,
yes,
right?
Yes,
exactly you're always busy.
Yes, exactly that. And I kind of felt that I maybe have internal urge to do that, but at the same time, it felt like a irresponsible thing to do, because I have so many things to do, in my corporate success. And then what really helped me to make the best decision, sorry to be cheesy on this one, but best decision in my life.
She's 2 years old now, right?
Yes, which is 2 years old now, is the fact that I've been really lucky to meet in a row quite a few of those brilliant females who had it all. I've met one brilliant board member who had 4 kids and a board member career, and then there was a couple of other really, really empowering examples. And by just seeing those women, by interacting with them, and I was I can do it, I can. And when it all happened to me, and it didn't turn out that I can do it, I felt I really, really want to give this for people who maybe in a little bit of a similar position to my, who building their career and they're afraid to start a family, or vice versa.
Or you think you have to, I'm 35, no kids. So you think you have to pick either your career or being a mom. This is sometimes I have to go through, right?
Yes.
Do I want to sacrifice my career to have a family? Things like that.
Yes, exactly. And I think it's both ways. It's people not restraining from having kids, or people having kids and then being afraid
with their career,
really limiting them their career. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I just wanted to showcase it's look, all the journeys is different and you can do it. It is possible. Here's how people are doing it. So in case anyone was just in the similar limbo I was around 3 years ago, I hopefully can help them.
Also in this series, we started something new, which is our quick fire questions at the end.
Exciting.
So you just answer with the first thing that comes to your mind. Are you ready?
Yes.
I might add one because I know that you read. So first, one book that has transformed your life.
Sorry, I cannot be serious about that one, but that is War and Peace,
We were just talking about this book because I also just read it and it's incredible.
Yeah. It's literally the highlight of my day. This just happened with Paula. We discussed War and Peace, which she just read, and that happened to be my favorite book. And I get, usually, the way conversation about book goes, someone asks me about a favorite book, I'm saying, War and Peace, it's just the best thing I've ever read, and then there is uncomfortable silence. So, as in I'm showing off or something like that. So I'm really ever so happy you read this one. Yes, with classic literature, Soul Sisters.
No, such a good one, yeah.
Brilliant book, yeah.
All right, let's go back to retail then.
Yeah, complete distraction.
Yeah, no worries. So what was the last thing you bought online?
I'm buying so much online that literally every time I come home there is a number of boxes and I don't remember what it is. Maybe it's a little bit of a shopaholic problem I have. I think the last things would have to be, so yesterday 2 things arrived. One was the gift for my husband for Valentine's Day.
Okay.
It's just a t-shirt with a bit of a joke. It's a Japanese one. I hope he will like it. And the second one was the Ugg slippers.
Okay.
The one I have a working desk setup which has a treadmill, so I can do both, get a little bit of activities and staying on 10 hours meetings.
Optimize the time.
Yes, exactly. So I've been thinking for a while that it would be nice to have something cozy to do it in. So
very good. Was it a good experience overall? I think UK is super good in online. Everything that I order here arrives the next day, super quick. I love it.
Yeah, I think could be better, to be honest. No, that's because I think treating it to the highest standard, and this is where I'd like to take our teams as well, it's, to me, great experience. It's 3 clicks. Right? Anything that takes me more probably can be optimized. So I have a very, very high standards. Those standards coming. This is one thing I'm taking from the
you probably get obsessed with customer journey too, as this is part of your work. This could be better.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm each time, this experience is suboptimal, but whatever. I'm getting the t-shirt. So.
And one tech trend in retail you're most excited about?
I think it got to be this omnichannel we talked about, because I think there is so much opportunity there to bring more value, especially in the wellness space, because you can help people better on their wellness journey through being properly omnichannel. And that goes beyond retail as well, right? It's how do we use our retail capabilities to help someone manage their wellness need holistically.
Very good. And a brand you think is doing really well, but it can be Holland Barrett.
Damn it. Now, that's an excellent question. I think one that comes to mind, who I think is doing really well, is Blank Street Coffee. They expanded recently. I think they marketing and the things they doing with the physical space, with the coffee shops, it's straight on point. They had an excellent thing using the retro TVs in a number of central London stores. I think the operations work pretty well as in how quick the turnaround is. And I think the quality of product is really good. They also wanted to name one startup, which I think is doing really well, especially considering a startup scale, which is a Recraft AI. Those folks are building, it's a small team, and they are building images, generating the images, helping the design teams and things like this. There are leaderboards to pretty much all AI problems, and it's a small team which is built in Google now. And I'm just inspired by the story because it's a story of another female founder and the mom. So came to mind.
Yeah, I love that too. That's a good one. What is your one tip to prepare for Shoptalk Europe for everybody that's going?
Just bring your best mood with you. And if possible, don't treat it too seriously. I think the biggest part of each conference is like this. Of course, it's getting bouncing ideas of the experts and stuff, but also it's connecting to people, right? It's finding those new exciting opportunities, maybe even friends if you're lucky. So I'll just say relax and have fun at the Shoptalk.
Bring your best mood. I'm bringing mine.
Excellent. I'll do that too.
What was your best career advice you ever received?
I know the best career advice. I hope I received it at some point, but it's definitely the one I want to give to people. And your manager, it's the biggest part of your career success. As in, find the manager who believes in you, who will push your boundaries comfortably and sometimes uncomfortably, and who will be your true supporter and a cheerleader, because it's such a make it or break it. And I've been lucky to have a few brilliant managers in my career, which I think helped that significantly.
I've had the opposites, and I've had some of those, and those made my life for sure. It was just, it gave me drive. They proved me that I could do things, things that I didn't know I could. So,
yes, and I think that's the thing, right? I had the opposites too. Thankfully, share-wise, I had more good managers than bad managers. Even reflecting on empowerment point, I remember that once early in my career, maybe 10 years ago, I was so into doing a new product challenge. I've got to this brilliant course. I finished top of the class. And then this opportunity appeared in my team to do the product from scratch. And I approached my manager and they were like, oh, but you've never done it from scratch, so I cannot take the risk. And they appointed like someone else doing it. And I ultimately ended up moving to another team, doing like another product from scratch, which went just exponentially. And I knew I had it into me. And it's like, sometimes it might be for the various reasons. It might not even be the bad person, your manager or whatever, but they might just not believe in your empowerment around them. So, and I think that's a very, very clear sign to move on.
I agree too. You can change your life moving on.
Yes, yeah.
And that's the last one. What is one thing most people don't know about you?
Oh, that's a tough question because I am a massive oversharer by nature. So you would know like most of the things about my life within 5 minutes. I think maybe the thing is, I do give people a perception of being super chill on everything. That's literally like a feedback I receive from my team that, oh my God, like whatever is happening, you're so chill. Oh, the house is burning, that's okay. We'll build another one. So that's the vibe I seem to consistently give to people. And in reality, surprise, that's not always the case. It's just the behavioral mode which seems to work for me best.
Very good. Katya, thank you so much. It was such an enlightening conversation. I can't wait to see you in Barcelona. Thank you so much for coming.
Likewise, Paula. Thank you so much. It's been such a joy. Definitely the most enjoyable thing I've done today.
And let's talk about Tolstoy after.
Yeah.